What's up, everybody? It's Sean Go here, and welcome to episode 2 of the Channel 8 podcast. Before we jump into the main topic of today's episode, I want to start things off just talking about my pickups and what shoes I wore during the week. So as far as sneaker pickups go, it's been a pretty light week. The first pair I got is the New Balance 990 V2 in this grayscale sort of color. I don't know if there's an actual nickname for it, but the style code is M990XG2. And if you haven't seen it already, I've posted a review on it on my YouTube channel. This is just one of those GR, no hype sort of pairs. I've been buying a lot of New Balances lately, and I love the look of the 990 V2. And for some reason, I don't know, this colorway just really spoke to me. It's super wearable, and I just love the color blocking of the suedes. Another pair I got courtesy of the good people from Under Armour Canada. They sent me a pair of the Curry 8 in the beautiful Flow colorway. And it was in collaboration with a Baltimore artist, community leader, and a photographer, Devin Allen. If you haven't seen it on my Instagram stories, it's pretty much a black and white shoe with hits of gray and red. But definitely my favorite part about the shoe is they incorporated genuine suede on the mudguard, which I believe is the first time they've done that. All the other colorways, they've just used like a synthetic material. So this Black History Month pair definitely feels a lot more premium, which I loved. The next pair I got was sent to me from Adidas Canada, and this one is the Harden Volume 5 Future Natural in the white colorway. So one of the things I really miss the most because of this whole COVID situation is the fact that here in Toronto, at least, we pretty much can't play ball. So I have no idea how these Hardens are going to perform. I know they definitely look pretty nice. The one they sent me is the white colorway, but it has a sort of multicolor patchwork effect on the upper. But my favorite part is that super thick drop-in insole. So a big thank you to Adidas Canada for sending me over that pair. And the last pickup I've got for the week is another New Balance shoe. This time it's the 920 model, which is pretty underrated. And it's the Year of the Ox Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year colorway. So this pair honestly had very little hype surrounding it. Of all the usual stores that get New Balance here in Canada, I think Capsule was the only store that released this one. And of course, as expected, it sold out pretty much right away, except I think there's like a size 13 maybe still sitting on the website. But for me, my normal size 10 was gone pretty much instantly. So I'm a part of Soul Savvy and one of the members, so he ended up checking out a size 10. And when he got them delivered, I guess he just wasn't feeling them. And he was able to hook me up with a pair for under retail. So a big shout out to Blair if you're listening to this, probably not, but thank you so much for the hookup. And I will be posting a review on those ones either today, tomorrow, sometime in the next couple days. As far as what I've been wearing on feet, so there's been a pretty good variety for me. I started off the week busting out the Travis Scott Air Jordan 1s, and for my pair, I definitely threw on the pink laces. I love the complementary colors of the brown and pink. And then on Tuesday, I wore the Air Max 1 Currys. I'm pretty sure all 3 of the Curry Pack Air Maxes went on sale at some point. But the one that I wore and the one that's my favorite is the beige, brownish, tan sort of color one, not the green and not the red. Next up on Wednesday, I wore a pair that I haven't worn for a long time. I dug this one from the bottom of my sneaker pile, and this one's the Stash Air Spiridon. I find that the Spiridons are one of the comfiest Nike shoes out there. Not even exaggerating, it's super comfortable. You can really feel that Zoom Air underneath your feet, and can't go wrong with a Stash colorway. All the blue tones just go super well together, and this is another one of those super slept on shoes. On Thursday, I didn't want to wait at all, but I wore the 990 V2s that I was talking about earlier. I threw that up on my Instagram stories, definitely got a lot of comments from people. And it's great to see like the GR non-hype shoes get a lot of love. And then the last shoe I wore for the week was the Adidas Forum 84 High in the OG white and blue color. So I posted the review on this on the channel a couple days ago. So if you haven't seen that, check out my YouTube. But guys, honestly, let me tell you, the quality on this pair is ridiculous. The fact that it retailed for 120 US or I think 160 Canadian dollars, and the quality that you get, it's like night and day compared to your typical Air Jordan 1, which is priced at $50 more. I know Jordans and Nikes usually have all the hype, but there's a lot of hidden gems out there, guys. And if I had to guess, I would say that Adidas is probably going to release more colorways later on this year. So moving on to the main topic of today's episode, I want to go a bit behind the scenes about my workflow when I make my YouTube videos. So the first thing I do when I plan to review a shoe is the research. Obviously, this depends on what the shoe is and how many times I reviewed like another colorway of the exact same shoe. So if we're talking about an Air Jordan 1, for example, this is a shoe I've reviewed so many different times on the channel before. And for the most part, it's almost always the exact same thing, the exact same sort of materials. And the main difference between the colorways themselves is usually just the color. So in cases like that where I've broken down the shoe so many times before, when I say research, it's pretty much just jotting down things like the color code, the release date, the retail prices for both US and Canada, and any other facts that stick out about that specific pair. In other cases, I'm reviewing a brand new shoe. So obviously for those sort of pairs, there's a lot more work behind the scenes I have to do, whether that's researching interviews from the designer himself, or for example, if it's a retro shoe of a very old model. In cases like that, I want to do more research about the history behind the shoe and really do it justice. The worst thing I can do is give false information to my audience, which is pretty bad. So just doing that due diligence and trying to get as much information as correct as possible is very important. The next thing I usually do is capturing the B-roll footage or the B-roll shots. So this is like the detailed shots that I use in the videos. And at this point in time, I pretty much have it down pat. Like I know what specific parts of the shoe I'm supposed to capture. So for example, I usually lead off the video talking about the front of the shoe. So things like the top of the toe box, the front toe cap, the mid panel. So I just go through that mental checklist and make sure I capture every main part of the shoe. And especially if there's anything especially unique about that sneaker, I'll be sure to capture footage of that too. One thing I learned is to try to be as efficient as possible. So when I first started the YouTube channel, I used to capture this footage outside and I would try to pick out a different location every time, but I quickly realized that this was pretty unrealistic and it would take up a ton of time. Add to the fact that I live in Toronto, Canada, so starting from probably December till February or March, it's probably going to be too cold for me to be standing outside and capturing video. So I quickly realized that the most efficient and most effective way is to do this indoors. So really how you do this is up to you. I just felt like using the same consistent platform and background would give my videos more of a consistent feel. And instead of having a ton of distractions with different backgrounds and things like that, it would really let the details of the shoe shine. So the next thing I do after that is definitely the bottleneck in the entire process. And that's capturing the 2 or 3, and I call it glamour shots that I usually throw up on the video right before the on-feet look. So I know a lot of shoe YouTubers don't really do this, but my background is definitely a photographer first before a video guy. And my mindset for this is why not kill two birds with one stone? Because I'm going to need content from my Instagram account anyways. So I snap those quote unquote glamour shots to post on my Instagram account, but I also figure why not just throw it into the video too? So those shots usually take the longest time because honestly, for those pictures, I don't want to be repetitive too much. I know in the wintertime, it's a bit more limited because it's super cold outside and I can't really stay out too long without freezing myself. So a lot of the time is spent trying to be creative and trying to scout out locations, and then editing the photo takes time. So I know those pictures only show up for about 10 seconds in the entire video, but I'd say that that's probably the biggest bottleneck so far in the process. After that, I'll usually capture the on-feet look, which fortunately is just done on the balcony of my home. And that only takes like 15-20 seconds. So even if it's freezing cold in the winter, I'm not going to be left out there for that long. And again, I usually choose the same location just to keep things consistent. After that, the next step in the process is for me just to get a really hands-on feel of the shoe. This is the part where I, for example, examine the materials, check for the quality and the craftsmanship on the pair, and then I'll put it on feet again just to get a sense of the sizing and especially the comfort. If it's something more performance oriented, for example, my review of the Curry 8s, of course, I'll try to get more of an accurate sense of the fit and feel by trying to get a lot more wears in, especially in like a gym setting. But in the cases where it's more like a casual shoe, oftentimes just wearing them around for a walk or just putting them on feet for a good chunk of time is enough. So after I do this, then the next step is to get in front of the camera and start recording. Surprisingly, this doesn't take too much time. I can usually get it done with all the takes and any other reshoots within 20 minutes. And then after that, all that's left is pretty much just putting the video together on Adobe Premiere. So again, like I've said, I'm not an expert at all in video creation, but I find Adobe Premiere is pretty user-friendly. I don't have any crazy editing skills or anything like that, but all in all, I'd say that it's a pretty reliable software, and I can usually review all the footage and put the video together in a couple hours' time. Once the video is rendered, then it's just a matter of uploading it to YouTube and then doing things like filling out the title, the description, making sure all the tags are correct on the video. And then once the videos are uploaded on YouTube, sharing it on my website and Twitter. For anyone wondering about tips about creating your own YouTube channel, to me at least, the most important part is the content that you're delivering. If you're putting out trash content, let's be honest, no one's probably going to be watching your videos. So to me, at least, the number one thing that's important is finding out how you can stand out from the crowd, what sort of content you can bring to the YouTube space that's going to be a little bit different from everyone else. And of course, there's no problem being inspired by other successful YouTubers, but the last thing you want to do is copy the content and the content style of another YouTuber. The next thing that's important is the equipment that you're using. So I'm by no means an expert on video and sound. So for my videos, I just use my Nikon D600 DSLR. And I'm sure it's not the most effective video camera out there, but that's a camera I already owned back when I started the channel. And I didn't want to necessarily spend a whole ton of money. And I decided just to work with what I had. To add to that though, the lighting and the sound is very, very important. So when I first started the channel, all I used was my DSLR to film, and I was just using the microphone on the camera itself. So of course the sound quality was terrible. It sounded like I was so far away and it would capture all the ambient noise and all the other noise around my condo. So when I upgraded, I bought a lavalier or lapel mic along with the Zoom H1N recorder. I don't know if it's an amazing setup. I know a lot of other people have really, really good sound. And while mine isn't the greatest, it's definitely a big, big upgrade over the DSLR mic. The other side of the coin is the lighting. So again, when I first started filming, I would just use natural light from the windows. And because I have a full-time job, it's pretty unrealistic to do that because, especially in winter time, when you get home, chances are it's already dark outside. So my lighting setup is pretty basic. So I just spent a couple $100 on these LED lights from Amazon. I think the brand name is Newer, something like that. But they have a ton of different light setups on Amazon. So definitely check that out if you're looking for something. And again, it's a very simple lighting setup. I just have one light sort of in front but diagonal to me. And the other light is sort of behind me on my shoulder, also off to the side. So that pretty much breaks down the workflow behind my YouTube videos. I'm probably missing something in this podcast. If I did, let me know, message me, or somehow contact me, and I can follow up and mention it in the next episode. Otherwise, I guess this is it. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hopefully, I didn't bore you guys to death. I know this might be a bit more of a dry episode, but in the past, people have hit me up asking me about tips about creating their own channel. So I figured this podcast might help you guys a bit. So if you guys enjoyed this podcast, be sure to give it that 5-star rating, leave a review, and be sure to subscribe to it on all the platforms that it's on. So as of right now, it's hosted on Podbean, it's up on Spotify and iTunes as well. And for more content from me, be sure to follow me on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/SeanGo, my Instagram account at sgo8, and follow me on Twitter as well at sean.go spelt out. So this has been episode 2 of the Channel 8 podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll catch you guys all in episode 3.